After the tragic events of September the 11th in 2001, one of the urgent needs that was felt by a lot of people was simply to get to understand our Muslim neighbours more deeply. And my predecessor, Archbishop Carey, took the very imaginative step of convening a group of scholars and teachers of Christianity and Islam here at Lambeth Palace to see what might be made possible as time unfolded. Out of that first meeting has grown a whole series of seminars. The point of these seminars has been to go a bit beyond the slogans and the politics of it all, to see if we can really understand one another as people relating to God.
We read one another's scriptures carefully, and experts on those scriptures introduce the particular texts, and we sit for an hour and a half, sometimes just in a small group, reading the text, asking one another about the text.
For me, it's probably the best interreligious dialogue conference that I come to.
It preserves something as a kind of tradition which keeps the continuity going on the one hand. At the same time, it always brings some new elements, making it innovative and creative and attractive.
Discussing texts side by side between Muslim and Christian, it is pioneering.
It's both tough work. You have to do a lot of listening and assimilating new ideas, but it's also very agreeable to be with people who've now become friends.
We're not looking for agreed statements, convergence about the things that Christians and Muslims have in common. We're looking for something a bit deeper than that. We're looking for a real imaginative sympathy that allows us to feel how the other is working and how the other person relates to God.
Without necessarily disguising our differences or looking for a kind of mechanical common ground that ignores differences.
Essentially, building bridges is about discussion. It's not necessarily about coming to solutions and finding answers. And I think it's that element of confident discussion which is the most appealing aspect of the conference.
We've been in Sarajevo, we've been in Southeast Asia, and alternating with that, meetings in Georgetown in Washington in the United States, where the university has been enormously helpful in supporting and encouraging this work. What's been most distinctive about it, I think, has been the level of intimacy that's built up among the regular members. We don't have exactly the same people every time, but we have a core of people who've been to all or most of the meetings, and even with others we try and get them back from time to time. We try and keep connections with them.
I love it, and when I have the chance I can't miss it, because all the time I learn from it, and I learn from the Archbishop, and I learn from the discussion.
I've been a participant in the Building Bridges seminars almost from their beginning, and have accepted invitations to return even when calendar pressures made that difficult, because I think this is a particularly important form of Muslim-Christian dialogue.
This is my second seminar of this kind. I took part in the very first one in 2002, and this is my second one. And I accepted the invitation because A, the topic was germane to my concerns. Secondly, the quality of the participants was definitely one that was very attractive to me, and I wanted to engage with some of these scholars and academics and religious men and women who were here. So it was an altogether attractive proposition.
Over the 4 years, I have been able to deepen and to increase my understanding of the Bible.
This one is particularly important for me because I've been involved in dialogue, other forms of dialogue with Islam, Shia Islam particularly, and I find here a tremendous professionalism because all the people taking part here are experts in their own right. They're coming from an international world. They are people who have an interest in sharing their insights with an honesty and a truthfulness, which is very refreshing.
Each time I come, I feel that I learn new things. Yeah, I learn new things from my Christian friends and colleagues, and I also learn new things from my Muslim friends and colleagues.
Very interesting group of people for me, since I don't really have that much contact with Muslim intellectuals.
It also helps me understand my own faith, my own thoughts. It sharpens very much my own perception and spiritual understanding.
And what a lot of people will say is that the relatively small size, the relatively private environment in which these seminars are conducted actually helps people to be more honest and more questioning sometimes than they would be in any other environment. It means that Christians can disagree with other Christians in front of Muslims, and Muslims can disagree with other Muslims in front of Christians and not feel that it's the end of the world. It means that people can lean across the table and ask the most basic questions. So what do you mean by salvation? So what do you mean by calling Muhammad the Prophet? And it won't be a bad moment or an embarrassing moment. It'll be part of a conversation. People have learned to trust each other.
We can be frank with one another, we can learn from each other in a setting that allows for trust to be built.
There's a privacy which enables people to be honest and to be themselves.
We've developed a level of trust, of a kind of intellectual camaraderie among ourselves that makes the discussions richer and richer at session after session.
Scholarly people engage and religious people engage in these issues should come together and really air their views and have a frank exchange of ideas in an environment of complete freedom and without constraint.
And the stimulus that comes from this, I think, has been witnessed to by lots and lots of people over the years. They find there are new questions they can ask, they can go back to their normal work as teachers and scholars or as religious leaders and feel that the world has been opened up a little bit more for them.
Because of the different themes that have been chosen, that I feel like quite helpful in my space where I teach in Africa, in Ghana in particular.
And this is what I would like to take away, to think more about this and to tell others.
I can discuss those matters, those issues in front of the students, my students in my country, and also I think all the participants will discuss this issue in front of the students.
I've learned more from these seminars than from any number of books on Islam that I've read, more about the heartbeat of the Muslim world. I don't want these seminars to be anything other than what they are. I don't want them to be huge, high-profile, dramatic events. But I think that they do model something which is important for all of us as Christians and Muslims as we try to come closer together. And that is creating safe places, creating trust, creating a sense of three-dimensional person behind the words and the slogans. That's what's been happening, and I think that's been very valuable.
It's very different and very special listening to Muslims speak about their own faith.
By knowing the other, I am able to deepen my own self-understanding.
We hope as time goes on that these conversations will continue and that perhaps they'll generate more and more local conversations in the different parts of the world people come from. Because one of the things about the seminars has been that we've been privileged to be able to draw on a huge variety of backgrounds. It's a place where we learn about trust, not just about why we ought to be suspicious of each other. Building bridges is personal, not just academic.
Thought-provoking.
Union.
Collegiality.
Eye-opening.
Profound.
Building bridges is about studying, listening, learning, not arguing.
Stimulating.
Pioneering.
Patient.
Frank.
Illuminating.
Fresh knowledge.
Friendship.
Warm.
Invigorating.
We've been very privileged to have people of this quality. And I hope that that global conversation about how we understand each other better can be a small contribution to the search for peace in our world and real compassion across the boundaries of faith and culture.